Alright, so I found the, it was up in the box above there, I found the some fulcrum pins. Okay. This stuff is, I was cutting out felt washers, you know, to act as seals on here, but banana hammock, I think, was the one spearheading that or whatever. So you could see my concern here. Oh, I'll have to clean that out a little bit, because that's going to butt up against there. That sticks out there quite a ways. So I was looking for a wire bottle brush. I'm sure I have one, but I just grabbed some emery cloth from sitting over on the lathe. Okay, there we go. All right. Now these things are kind of a pain in the butt when you're putting them on and off the car. And the other thing I want to do too is they don't tighten down completely like that. There's actually a thread on here that tightens into the end of the control arm, and I don't have a stock control arm in here. Not that it matters, but so I'm gonna put a gap in there about 50 thou. We'll put the corner over there where it might hit, and let's see. I'm not sure if this is the best angle, but you can see that I'd have to bring them way out here or rotate it. So I think I am going to have to rotate it at least some. So up top, I think I'm pretty clear there, other than, you know, the bracket itself, what I showed before, that getting close there. My main concern at this point is, you know, this being able to go in behind there. So, you know, that's right in the way. So this bracket design, it wasn't going to work, period. This is the size of the old, this is the old ear, okay, that went up underneath here. Okay, so good bit smaller diameter, and I did a perimeter weld on it. I'm trying to do a plug weld, okay, so that I don't have to run all the way around there. So I made the diameter bigger so that I could have a shelf there with the 3/4 inch inside. So now this is 1.5 inches. I suppose I could take it down to 1 inch. I think this is 1 1/8. Inch and a quarter. Yeah, because I've trimmed the outside down. So that's 1 1/4 inches. That's 1.5 inches. Man, you know, I just might cry uncle at some point here, and not, because here's the grief. Is the problem is this bracket, okay? Because I need that big straight area there. You know, so I don't know, you know, I can't really bring this way out here and come back kind of thing. You know, I just may not be able to do the, and I've said this once already, that I may not be able to do it, and then I did, but, you know, every step gets you, you know, I was more concerned with this placement, and with the hub and the rotor, but now I have to be concerned with the spindle placement, and that looks to be killing me. So, you know, if I could rotate it all the way around here and just make this bottom flat with that, straight, yeah, well, it still barely clears because I gotta have room for the 3/8 inch plate under there. And at that angle, oh, that's close. So I know that there's about 1/8 of an inch space there, so you know, a little extra grinding right there once the corner's cut off anyway, that just might that just might do it. And of course then the next step is, once I get that squared away and everything like that, rechecking it again, because I got brackets and mounting bolts to put up under the bottom side there, you know, this, you know. Oh, I don't know if I can do all this. Yeah, that needs to go further in. Wow, close. Considering how many people are waiting on just regular disc brakes. You know, I'm real tempted just to go to the single piston and call it good. It'll still be different than the old ones because I'm still going to use the hard body rotor and have to go with this thinner bracket so that eliminate the 1/8 inch wheel spacer. Well, it just dawned on me, the big grief here, I kept wondering, God, man, why did everything fit so much better before? And, you know, here's part of the reason. This is roughly what the thickness was on the other one. Okay. Put it down that much. Well, you know, that's how much, you know, I'm losing another 3/8 of an inch there. And that's part of the grief. That and the fact that you know, the hole was over here where this would mount. You know, it was more like over here. So anyway, this extra length is part of the reason why I'm having so much trouble getting it to clear. Because when you flip that up with this one on, you know, I could go back quite a ways. So, you know, that and the extra diameter. Man, and so what got me thinking about that was, if I do the original design, can I change the spacer length and still be okay, and then run the hard body bracket, hard body rotor? You know, so then I'd have to make new. This would be the new dimensions and style to get the clearance. The plate would still have to be the same thickness, the 5/16. You know, or would it just be easier to leave that brake kit alone and just include 1/8 inch wheel spacers? If this was a custom job, you know, it'd be real easy to use this rotor and then put this hub in the lathe and just cut, you know, 1/4 inch off the backside there, moving the rotor in closer, and basically get a compromise with the 720 rotor. And that's another thing that I was wondering about too. Let me grab a 720 rotor. Got it marked as hard body on the backside. Alright, but it's a 720. Alright, there's the difference. See the difference in the top hats. Now, one thought I had early on in this, when I realized how tight this was going to be space-wise on the, and having to thin the bracket up, was the possibility of just making a spacer to go between this and the back of the hub. I'm not positive a laser cut piece. If you know, if I could get one that was 125 thousandths, better 150 thousandths, and have it laser cut. If it was done with like a cold rolled steel, something that's a lot more accurate, because that would cost a chunk of money to have those stupid things machined out, when really all you're doing is you're relying on the material for the thickness and just cutting out the profile. It would be a fairly simple piece. So if anybody watching this has some input on that, you know, basically use this rotor with this hub and put an 1/8 inch spacer in here to push that back so that I don't need the spacer out here. And then go back to using, you know, 720 rotors instead of the hard body, because then I could go back to having 3/8 inch plate. I might play with that. That may be something I may see if I have some metal in the correct thickness, or I may get some shim washers just to put in here for testing. As long as I'm here showing comparisons and stuff like that. This is basically the old style bracket. And this is one I powder coated lime green because this is the one that's supposed to go on my daughter's truck. But my daughter's truck will most likely get the ball joint modification. So you can see I've got the clearance here for the most part. You know, if that rubbed, it wouldn't take much to just grind that bracket off just a little bit. Okay, and that gives you an idea, you know, having to push these back that way to clear the dual piston bracket. So then basically what I was just doing there was I was rotating that over to here. So if I did perimeter welding and tabs, it would still, I'd have to go just a little bit more, but then the problem becomes, you know, that stick out right there. Yeah, you know, I think there's so many factors against the dual piston. Okay, that being, just a reminder here, that being one of them. That was the pad to clear the top hat on the rotor. You know, so there's one downside to it. The downside to the hard body rotor is this spacing, making this taller in that stuff. Oh, having to go with a 5/16 bracket. That's the big downside there, as far as I'm concerned. Oh, so this is all the trial and error and issues here, and this is where, you know, I get to the point where, as much as I'd like to turn out a bracket that could use both, the dual piston setup, there's just not enough room in here with the small rotor. And this is what I'm digging for. This is kind of this is a monster a bit. This is the rotor that the Big Break uses. Okay, the Big Break kit, not my Big Break kit, but the other two that are available out there. So we'll just give a little size comparison here. So all that extra diameter, how much that radius pushing it out. Okay, you saw what that little bit of overhang there. You know, if I had to clock it that far, that little bit of overhang would easily be absorbed by this difference right here. There's also no issue with the brake pads hitting the okay, that's all the way in, and I still got at least 1/8 of an inch clearance there. You know, and actually they would sit about there. So there wouldn't be any grinding. Now I've got a set of these rotors here, and I have always thought that, you know, one of these days I'll do my own Big Break kit, because I was involved with Fine Line on the very first one, helping him behind the scenes. You know, it has some issues too and stuff like that, but I still just haven't got around to this. So that's where the dual piston could fit. I don't know. I don't know if there's another rotor, you know, like this one, you know, that's just a ½ inch bigger. And here's another question for anybody who makes it this far in the video. The plug welding. Okay, I increased the size. It's a little thin here because of, you know, just hand fabricating it or whatever. Everything I've read suggests that 3/4 inch is basically the all-around best size for plug welding. Once you get bigger than that, things change, stuff like that. Thing is you can tell from the diameter here and that, you know, with the fit. Like I was saying before, you know, I went to something bigger. That's causing me more grief with trying to fit. What's the opinion here on whether or not this plug weld, you know, on this size of spacer, and the bracket like this? Because, you know, it wouldn't take anything to drill a 3/4 inch hole, you know, on each corner here, each end. Same thing with this. I could have them laser cut out as well, if I thought they were going to work well. But does that leave enough meat around the edge there for welding? Because the perimeter welding is a royal pain in the butt. But, you know, if I could just go ahead and make these, even if I need to put, you know, that type of top on, you know, or something like that, that would be just fine. I could just, you know, I could do those without any problem. If I could do this, that would make it a whole lot easier for the bracket. I'd just go back to the single piston, because I'm looking at the clearance right here as this is. So if that has to get any bigger, I have to clock it. In fact, I should probably double check and make sure, you know, it might clock it just a hair anyway, just to get a hair more clearance here with the fulcrum pin nut. You know, and they'll have to go back that way a little bit more, which is another reason for clocking or whatever. You know, this is one of those things. It's like, okay, well, if I was a mechanical engineer, would I have a better handle on this, or would it give me more confidence? I think I'd still have the same questions. I mean, unless I was working in this field and knew all the forces to account for and everything like that. You know, I think with the 3/8 and everything, perimeter welded and that stuff, I think it's overkill. I think they're way stronger than a lot of commercial brackets on bigger cars. I guess at some point here I'll have to I'll just have to take a slug and maybe I'll just drill that hole out to 3/4. Yeah, that would work. I'll drill the, put it up here in the camera, you see it. I'll take this piece and this piece, drill this out to 3/4, put that in there, and then just you know, weld that up. Then cut it in half and polish it and etch it and see how it looks at that point. So anyway, more than love to have some opinions on plug welding this bracket, putting a 3/4 inch hole in each one there, 3/4 inch hole in the tab. You know, any thoughts on which one of those two are better as far as profile for the what goes up inside the hole there. And then the opinion on putting the spacer behind the rotor, or behind the hub, between the hub and the rotor. You know, I've seen tons of wheel spacers. I've seen tons of spacers with for the caliper and everything like that. I don't remember offhand if I've seen spacers here to space the rotor. You know, if it's flat enough, I would think it would be just fine. Man, this is part of the reason why everything goes so slow for me, is because, you know, every time I think I've answered one question, it raises two more.